wherein I knew that this is alternate and I take null, or when I knew this is null and I took alternate. Why would I do that? Why would I make that error?
I don't know, but just funny case that they can probably, accept or reject the null hypothesis incorrectly.
Indirectly means without
Incorrectly means
without doing the test. You say?
yeah, that can also be one of the cases. Yeah.
But it is mentioned here that it was already null, which means I've done the testing.
Maybe we do not have this benchmark value.
Which benchmark value?
0.05.
Taking 0.05.
Yeah.
So you mean to say that you mean to say that I have done the testing, but I don't know what is a benchmark.
Right, we took a wrong benchmark.
Or maybe
Maybe
because I might be wrong, but this is what
there is nothing right or wrong answer. We are just sharing our opinion. So I'm more than
maybe the samples which was taken, it was not correctly taken. The survey which has happened, or the samples which was collected, it was not appropriate. So
I'm not saying the result is inaccurate. The result is correct.
Maybe
but I have done a mistake.
But you
maybe when there is a mixed kind of approach through the for the 0.05, through the data we know it is we have to reject, but from intuition perspective we know okay, it is going to be impact. So in that
overlook, I would say.
Human error bias.
Human error bias is correct. There is another angle to it. For sure, human errors can also happen, yes, which means that I forgot. I knew that salary is a alternate hypothesis, but I ignored it. Okay, that could be by mistake. That could be, a kind of a typo error, or maybe I forgot. There is one more scenario. Okay, no worries if you couldn't think that way. That's fine, because I've faced that scenario. That's why I'm able to share that scenario. Usually, sometimes what happens is we do the hypothesis testing, and when we conclude that there is an impact on Y, but sometimes the business or the sponsor, when we go for a review, they say that this is not as per me a significant, or either ways, you do the testing and you say it's a null hypothesis, and they say this according to me is alternate, because business shares their perspective as per their experience, and you have done this as per your experience. So in that case, if there is a mismatch between the statistical results and the voice of business, or maybe the voice of sponsor or a champion, in that case the alpha and beta error takes into consideration, and that's where we probably need to redo it. Maybe then in that particular case, the sampling is incorrect. I have not taken the right sample size. I have not maybe considered a right kind of a cause. This cause would have not been taken into consideration, or that kind of situation. So this happens very rare, maybe 2 or 3% of the time, wherein the business conclude, or where the department says, or maybe the any team says, okay, this as per me is not accurate. So in that case, we might need to look at it, maybe the calculations that we have done, or maybe sometimes we are accurate because this is what system is saying. We probably need to convince that.
Yeah.
So, but still, if we are not able to do that, then in that case, the alpha and beta error takes place, and therefore we should always avoid to ensure that alpha and beta error never takes place. Okay, so this is very good to know information, although it happens very, very, very rare. But yes, there could be some scenarios maybe in the lifetime that you would face, wherein you would, if you do 10-20 projects every year, then you might face the alpha or beta error problems also. Okay, so this is
and Sima, just one question. Just as we were discussing this in the earlier slide, we saw an example of attrition, right? And there were some causes to list it. So, for example, I decide upon I do the hypothesis testing, right? and I decide upon the null and the alternate ones. And when I do project that to the senior management, maybe they say that we don't want to focus upon salary first. Let's look at the other causes, right? And see if that helps. So will I make the change in the project and term it as a null, or I'll let it be an alternate?
So this happens some of the times wherein the senior management believes that this is not which we need to look into consideration. But yes, I'll answer this question, Rahul, when we do the hypothesis testing, because there are some other ways where we can influence the stakeholder. Okay, so let me ask you a question, and you yourself would be able to answer this. Okay, let's look at these scenarios. Okay, scenarios. Let's say transport and salary. Which of them would you like to work on first?
Got your answer.
You got the answer?
Right.
So I can prioritize it and say that this has 100% focus. Okay. So you can, once we do the Minitab hands-on exercises on these tests, then I'll share more techniques and tricks wherein not only with the help of p-value, there are other values also that we look at, where we can influence the stakeholder by saying that, this we can do. But still, if the management persists and say that we would work on it later, then there's a different call altogether that we want to make it. But yes, first of all, we want to statistically evaluate that this is one of the significant impact, and there's a 100% confidence level which is pertaining to this project. Okay, so that's how we will be able to influence our stakeholders. So we will have many question discussions during the hypothesis tools that we do. Okay, so we have covered the p-value. We have done that.